Tonight, 2 Investigates uncovers a trail of preventable injuries and errors involving a common medical test considered to be one of the safest that you can have. Accidents involving magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI tests, are rare, but we found evidence that they are on the rise.
KTVU's Eric Rasmussen is here now with the disturbing case of a young woman from the East Bay.
Well, Julie Frank, that young woman was still a girl, just 17 last fall when she was burned inside an MRI machine. Now she and her family have filed a malpractice lawsuit, and safety experts tell us her case shines a light on a problem that doesn't get enough attention. Loud noises and tight quarters. It's all part of getting an MRI. But that's not what turned Betty Cummings' experience into a nightmare.
When I was in the machine, something went wrong.
Last November, Cummings, who has what her family describes as a mild developmental delay, went to Children's Hospital Oakland for unexplained stomach pain. After a series of tests, including an EKG, a lawsuit alleges technicians placed the 17-year-old girl inside an MRI machine, failing to remove the metal EKG leads from her chest and abdomen.
I just felt a lot of burning, and I knew something was wrong.
Despite her cries for help, Betty says no one came for more than 40 minutes. Her mother says a nurse later described how she found her.
She ran across Betty, smoke coming out of the MRI machine, and she pulled Betty out, and my daughter, she said she was on fire.
Online videos document the magnetic power of an MRI. Look what a metal oxygen tank does to a watermelon where a patient's head would be. But the machines also use radio frequency energy, the kind responsible for Betty's burns. Injuries, her attorney says, were totally preventable.
Betty slipped through the cracks. There's no excuse.
Is this an isolated incident?
I wish that it were.
Toby Gilk is a member of the American Board of MR Safety and has studied MRI accidents for more than 10 years.
MRI accidents are increasing. They have been increasing for years and years and years.
Based on federal data and other sources, Gilk estimates MRI accidents are up 500% since the year 2000, somewhere around 7,000 to 10,000 accidents a year. He says the total number of MRI tests performed, more than 30 million a year in the U.S., have increased 100%. But other experts dispute Gilk's findings, saying injury reports provided to the FDA are often duplicated or incomplete.
What about those who say the data you are using is not reliable?
I would agree with them. I would agree with them 100%.
Gilk says many MRI accidents go unreported. There was no record of Betty Cummings' injury when we searched the online federal database. Children's Hospital says it reported the incident to the state. The hospital denied liability in Betty's lawsuit and declined an interview, citing pending litigation. But in a statement, Chief Medical Officer David Durand wrote, MRIs are an increasingly used and effective diagnostic tool. Last year, we safely and successfully performed over 6,000 MRIs at our hospital and outpatient centers. Managers of the Brain Imaging Center at UC Berkeley invited us to see their MRI suite, where the precautions are so strict every metal item is labeled as non-magnetic or magnetic, down to the chairs and these scissors.
You see that flicker in the image? That's actually coming from the magnetic field in here. But the one thing all of the experts we talked to agreed on is that getting an MRI is still one of the safest procedures you can have. And especially with all of the proper safety protocols, the injuries that do happen are almost entirely preventable.
Human error is at the root of virtually all MRI accidents.
You took all your medicine?
Betty Cummings' family says that human error left her with more than just burns. They say she had no history of shaking before the accident, and doctors have diagnosed her with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD.
I shake a lot. I still have flashbacks.
In addition to financial damages, Betty and her mom say they're still waiting on an explanation from the hospital and an apology.
Cummings' lawsuit is in the discovery process. Right now, California Assemblyman Kevin Mullen has a bill that would create a registry of everyone who performs MRI exams in the state. The bill also calls for better reporting of MRI accidents and that bill just passed out of committee this morning.
So if your doctor recommends that you get an MRI, is there something that you can do to make sure you're safe?
There is, Julie, and of course, no one is saying you should run out and cancel your MRI. These are still very safe tests, but you can ask questions if you have problems. Experts say ask those questions early. You can also ask a doctor or even a facility what they do for safety specifically. And remember, you're in control. If anything doesn't feel right, you got to speak up.
Yeah. All right, Eric, very interesting. Thank you.